That's great. Would we be able to speak with Joe's higher self, please?
Yes, she is here. She is observing this experience today.
Thank you for coming in, and it's my pleasure to speak with you. I'm very honored. So we're just wondering, we're wanting to explore a significant lifetime that you might have for Joe that she needs to see.
There's many for her to explore, many indeed. There is much that she has experienced that is like looking through and scanning through all the lives she's ever lived. None of them are more significant than the other. They are profound experiences of growth and exploration of all the lifetimes that there could be. This one, of course, is the most significant for her to live now and experience now. That we could give her an experience that could help her perceive and understand herself a little bit more. We're wanting to show her the lifetime as the dragon, because this is an original lifetime that had profound experiences. This was one of the first physical lifetimes that she got to have connections to physical life and connections. This is one of the original ones that we could offer her today. Is this something that you would like to explore?
We would love to explore it if you've got, if you have something there. It sounds very interesting.
With great responsibility comes the gift of great power, and when there is challenges of being a great being, not only do you have to navigate through being physically larger than others, but also emotionally and spiritually larger as well. The black dragon did have great power and great responsibility, and having to be of service to all of the collectives that came was a big lesson in being a physical being who was a protector and a nurturer and a provider of information. This was a planet that needed to be balanced. This planet was designed for the dragon collectives to experience the freedoms of life as well as the connections of others. This planet was very hospitable to others who needed to come and to live on that planet. And at that time, the dragons had already completed so much of their own lessons that they were masters in supporting others. And so they allowed others to come onto the planet to be able to grow and flourish. There was balance, there was harmony on this planet. And this provided a sanctuary for many collectives to come and be protected and nurtured through the guardians, which we call the dragons. There was lots of responsibilities to have to be able to make sure that the collectives themselves could see each other, respect each other, and not overstep boundaries and make a disbalance in the planet. This planet is still existing today. The body of the dragon is no longer there because it has departed from that lifetime. It's grown so much, it did not need to continue on. It has now then done many other lifetimes to experience and to have more intimate experiences in different scenarios. Every life has an opportunity to learn and grow from. And the different lifetime opportunities that you get to experience in different 3D level planets is still always growth and explorations. There is such significance of coming to 3D planets. This planet was not a destination of desired growth or interest. It was of a it was necessary for her to come into this planet at this time. This was not something she had chosen because she was interested in experiencing what is the most extreme 3D density planet that is possible. She has grown so much in her own being, she decided with her collective that this was necessary for her to come and lend her assistance. And so she is here now for doing that, and she is of service. The experiences that she is learning and growing from and mastering, she has already experienced and mastered in different ways and formats, but this is all fine. This is the point of difference from this planet to other 3D planets is a stepping stone as well. So this has not been a personally wasted life experience for her. This has got her and has provided her growth and lessons that she wanted to be able to experience. Of course, you will sign up to these lives expecting one thing and then having the experiences that are much more profound. And she is doing well as she is mastering through this. This is significant for her to be here at this time. We understand that your question was about experiencing other lifetimes, and we have flipped through and she has experienced little snippets of different lifetimes as we have been talking to you now. There is no, from our perspective, there is no one significant life that is more important than others. This is the lifetime she needs to be focusing on, because very soon she will have the veil and remember all. And we see that this was a novelty factor, that she was curious to looking into, to learning. There was many that we gave her little sneak peeks to look into and scratch out. The ones that she is probably the most interested in is the ones with the soul families, and remembering her soul family. She does want to feel the connection of her soul family again, quite desperately, because she does feel disconnected. But this has given her a fantastic opportunity to be able to have self-growth and empowerment. And so this is what she is doing, and this is what she is succeeding in at this time. So for her to feel like she needs to lean on others is not going to empower her. She is curious for curious sake to know each other's relationships and what you're to learn and grow from each other. And this is completely fine. It's completely normal to be curious. Is there more questions that you have for us?
Yeah, well, so you did mention that she doesn't really have to know too much about it because of, you know, the shift and what's coming up, and it's not that important. But did you want to, shall we take her there to experience a bit of this dragon life?
Mm-hmm. Yes, okay. Well, we did, and she did experience it, and she does have more recollections of it. So it was a leadership role. She had many other lifetimes where she was observing, and this was her first big lifetime, physical lifetime role, where she got to grow within a herd and get to see each other's approaches to lives. This was a beautiful tribe, and this was a strong tribe. This was a strong family. This was so significant to her approaches to all the other lifetimes that she has lived. This is one where she got to be part of many collectives and help assist. Again, by the time she decided to be physical, she'd already mastered and seen so much. So when she started devolving into physical lives, it was because she wanted to master more experiences, which she did do.
Right. Okay. Would you be able to describe this dragon for us?
Mm-hmm. So it is black, but when you get closer up to the scales and to the skin of the dragon, it is a very dense luminescent blue. And so from a distance it looks black, but when you go into the closeness of it, it is a very deep midnight blue, which has illumination to it. And so it is iridescent in the sheen of the scales. And this is partly because of the light factor onto that planet, as well as part of the materials. It is, the color is dense to be able to hold all the experiences, to be able to hold but not penetrate through into the conscious mind as such. When you are a physically large being, spiritually, metaphysically, and physically, you can contain and hold a lot of information and energy. And she did that.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
It is a very ferocious looking, in your terminology, beast. The dragon is primal. It is does look fierce and ferocious, and this is sort of a purpose to be able to make people listen, other beings listen, other collectives listen. And so when you're trying to start, bringing collectives together to be able to have peace and harmony throughout the universes, when you're trying to have physical peace and harmony in the physical realms, you need to have physical beings that have domination over size, and to have majestic qualities to them. Knowing you have other species that were not as advanced and not as evolved. This is purposeful. This is fine. There were smaller, different types of dinosaurs, which are also part of her family, that were smaller in sizes, even though that they were very similar in age. It is the responsibilities. It is the responsibilities. The bigger the beast, the bigger responsibilities. So then anyone who could arrive on that planet would instantly know the hierarchy of it. But of course, it was a teamwork. It wasn't just the individual. And we say that the conscious mind of the dragon now has split out into, you could say, many particles of soul essence sparks. When that dragon decided to pass, the consciousness wanted to be helpful to all and saw that there was a significance to be able to spread out more. The wisdom and information that they had needed to be broken into many pieces to be able to be shared. To support. And this is, we almost want to say, almost part of the Big Bang theory, but it was the Big Bang of consciousness separating from itself to be able to be splintered out and to be experiencing other smaller versions of themselves, so there could be growth in all. Again, very purposeful.
Okay, thank you for that. And would you be able to just explain more about the world that this dragon is from?
It was, the density of the planet was a fifth dimensional planet. And the visuals of it was There was mostly desert-like environment, as well as there was water and tropical, and there was many other plants. It was kind of like half the planet was this density of more rustic, was more desert-like density, where there was not much for distraction. And this is where the dragons like to reside, because it was mostly inhabitable for other beings. And so it ended up, it was a designed planet just for the dragons to have their collective experiences. Then other beings came that could acclimatize to it, almost like refugees from other different systems that needed support. So they were bigger parts of other collectives that needed to find a home because some of their other planets were not hospitable. So there was different areas of the planet for different species. We understand that there is a fear that the reptilian-based collectives are part of the dragon collective because they are reptiles, and we say that the larger reptile family does have the quality of the visuals of the dragons and the different versions of evolution from that. But the perspective and the open heart and the wisdom that the Dragon Collective has not transferred through to the lower reptilian species. It is a version of them for sure, but it is more merely physical versus spiritual and metaphysical. So it is breaking off into all different counterparts.
Yeah, sure. And since this was quite a barren kind of land by the sounds of it, like, and being fifth dimensional, did these dragons require like water or food or anything like that? And
Yes, it was energetically feeding them. There was an element of water that is important and sacred, but that was merely to put their feet into. And it was like a feeding of their essences within themselves, because the water has a high frequency value that was more than fifth dimensional. So the water on that planet was very high vibed. It's like walking into liquid crystal. So it was to replenish their energy that they were starting to lower themselves with. The more you transverse with other beings that have come from trauma and come from, we don't want to say drama, but lower frequency tensions, it did start weighing on the support systems from there. And so the dragons would go and bathe in this water, basically just getting their toenails wet. It wasn't immersing themselves into the water at all. It was just grounding themselves into this crystalline body of water, which was a higher frequency, so it did replenish the energy more. It was like the core of the planet was feeding this water higher frequencies. The planet itself could be hospitable to third dimensional beings, and this was purposeful as well. So there was different dimensional positions within the planet. And so those lower 3D beings who were there just as some of them were actually slaves of the refugees. Some of the refugee collectives that came onto that planet actually had third dimensional beings that were part of their enslavements that they had tracked as species and had brought them along. And so part of accepting these refugees was accepting their cargo. And what was on their cargo was often third dimensional beings. And so it was creating a space way for them to also be honored and respected. This planet was about helping many collectives understand and respect all. And this is, again, a significant purpose for Joanne to hear about this today and learn from this, because this is effectively what she is doing in this lifetime too, is making all species respect and hear each other and respect each other and understand that there is a beautiful place for all. And there should be no tension, there should be always harmony. And this is just one of the many times that she has tried to be able to provide the information, wisdom, and insight to be able to see this. This is why she is here now on this planet.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that with us. I'm just taking it in. It sounds very special with the whole water element. You know, it's kind of important, I guess, anywhere to have that grounding thing.
It is a myth to think that any higher advanced being doesn't need their own to go within. This is what we need to tell everyone, regardless of what dimension you're in. You are still supposed to be empowering yourself to recharge yourself and be responsible of self. And doesn't matter what dimension you're in, it seems that many beings are starting to slip out of that. And forgetting those to focus on their mission and their purpose, to remember about almost self-care. So this is what has been recommended, because we're all supposed to be away from source to be able to experience, to be able to return to source with points of view of different experiences, but yet we're still supposed to honor and respect our connection with source. This is the most densest experience for beings here right now on this planet, because you are so severed from source, and you're making it much harder for yourselves, for each other, when you don't go within. But it's so distant. It really needs dedication and diligence to be able to do it and to hold on to that. Ultimately, you should be feeling that always, not just in a meditative state. And so this is struggling for many people, because many can't maintain that higher frequency in their daily chores. And so we have tapped into you now, Alexander, because this is a struggle that you feel. You want to always be in that blissful state while you're meditating. And we're saying that what you ultimately are seeking is to feel that constantly, and not just in that meditative state. There's a little bit of a disconnect for you, and we're offering you some healing at this time.
Thank you. And that is so true. You know, we always want to be in that state, and it's more like a state of being home, you know, and we do feel disconnected. So what's some of the key things that we can do just to help, you know, stay kind of grounded and stay more in a higher vibrational state?
It is using tools that you have, which is your conscious mind, to master and control that, and to being and remembering who you are, and remembering that this lifetime is merely just an illusion to remember that you are more connected to yourself than you actually can see, to remember that you are connected to everyone that is here in your life. It is remembrance. It is remembering that these experiences can get away with themselves. Remembering that there is more, much, much, much more than this one simple paragraph in a library of who you truly are.
And that's right. It's so easy to get caught up in the physical world and the here and the now, and feeling in the lack and not being so comfortable with being here,
Yeah.
and we forget that we are all one, and we're not the body and all of that.
And the way that this planet was designed was to be able to have that creation of belief of this is life and this is all that there is. And so you're fully immersed into it. It is fantastic to be able to have that disconnect, to be able to forget who you truly are and what you already have mastered, and to be able to experience it in a different flavor, a different light, a different way, a different approach, different body, a different experience. You all get so bored and of your own bigger, greater lives that you're wanting these little challenges. So it's fantastic for this experience. However, it is much more denser and much more impacting on a negative, energetic level. And so this is the conundrum that we have. It's so darn good, it's so darn convincing, that the illusion is so darn real that you are so completely absorbed into it, which is what you're wanting, is what you're wanting to experience. But there is such a deep density impact. It is distracting from the experience. Because the experience is merely to find oneself again, and to remember who you are, to empower yourself and to be a loving being, to support others and to love others. But the challenge is when you've forgotten who you are, there is the competitiveness, there is this other density of survival, which is so disconnected from self. So we would love to see this experience again recreated, but not in this density of ego driven competitiveness that is eating one's soul into a denser existence. We wanting it to be more empowering than that, even though we see all of your lives right now being very empowering because you're surviving it, you're succeeding.
Yeah. And so so that ego can come in and we get triggered and stuff like that.
All beautiful experiences to grow from, all beautiful experiences to feel and to find your way, navigate your way through. When you have profound self-love, then you can nurture others more because you're not being triggered by others. When you love yourself, when you know who you are, you don't doubt that. You don't come from a disempowered position. You can be compassionate to all, including yourself, when you have profound self-love.
Yeah. So what can people do if they are kind of triggered, and someone might think it's someone's pointing the finger at them or something like that?
Most of humanity can look at humanity and see them as wounded, broken siblings, because that's what you ultimately all are to some degree. And we're not trying to point out where people have not empowered themselves, but people are still reacting like people because you're still in this hurt, unhealed position. You all are hurting. regardless of why. You all are feeling a lot of emotions because you have experienced so much. The density of this planet is so much. There is truly only a few amounts of people that can be so balanced all the time that they are at that higher dimensional frequency where they can still play with humanity and not get triggered. It is a lot to process. You're triggering each other beautifully to remind each other that you must love yourselves, respect yourselves, know your own truths, know the truths of the universes, which is about contracts, which is about experiences, opportunities, and to still remember to be friends at the end of the day. It is about being friends with yourself first, knowing who you are, knowing your intention, your integrity. Being triggered makes you all feel more distance from each other.
Yeah.
You're all wanting to be heard, you're all wanting to be loved, you're all wanting to be supported, while also doing it to others. And it is about nurturing and supporting each other at this point.
Yeah. And
you're playing an incredibly challenging game. And the point of view from our perspective is that it's so bloody hard for you all. Why are you making it harder for each other, throwing stones? And we're saying, put down the stones, hold out hands, love each other, and navigate through this. Understand the perceptions of life, the purposes and significances, and the reasons for all happening right now. You'll realize that you are brothers and sisters holding hands rather than bullies in the playground throwing stones.
yeah, that's right. And with regarding the shift, because we're wanting to raise our vibration for the shift, is that correct?
Yes, well, it's nice for beings to be able to raise their vibrations because it makes their lives much better, regardless of the shift or not. We're wanting and we're hoping for beings to be of responsibility of themselves and of service to themselves, to raise their vibrations, to have a more enjoyable experiences and many opportunities. When you have a higher vibrations, then you are producing and manifesting more high vibrational beings into your life and experiences into your life. And that is fantastic. And this is more enjoyable than being a more negative, lower vibration that is stagnant and there is not much opportunities for growth because they keep getting triggered and stuck. And so, yes, we wanted humanity to empower themselves, love themselves, and to be more of a higher frequency. And that also would be a benefit for humanity and as the collective itself to be able to help the ascension. So there is many things going on there. We want you to be reminded of your own personal responsibilities as well as being a team player. Many people don't care about their own lives and expect that humanity will just drag them along to a higher dimension. Those people have come from an interesting perspective and it's not going to reward them as they hope and as they assume. There is no cheating the system here. If your vibration is not high enough, you will simply not shift to the place that you're assuming you will naturally go to. So there is much motivation there. No one can help you get to 5D. You must be able to do this with your own power, with your own energy. And if you are holding back because you think you're this big advanced being, it doesn't work like that. You're still in this life. So when you are understanding that no one truly dies here and goes back to source, well, of course there is some, but most people who are waiting for the shift assume that they'll just be collected along with everyone in the humanity and taken along for the ride. And we're saying There are some people who will go to another third dimensional planet to have a simulation of their lives now. It will be slightly easier because the density of those simulations aren't as hard, but they still have to go through all of those lessons that they are distracting themselves from learning now. And so this is amusing to us that you are in this advanced game and yet you're not quite playing fair, or not quite taking advantage of it and mastering it. We understand that many people are tired. We're not speaking about Alexander at this time. In fact, Joanne was questioning, why are you talking about others that aren't in this session? This is not going to be a public session. This will not be a public session, and of course we see that there is great experiences and lessons for all, and so why be public? Why be private now? We are questioning her. So this is something she needs to ponder.
Yes, and earlier you were talking about the soul families. So how she's had lives with soul families. Did you want to elaborate more on that?
Yes, she does know of another dragon that she has met in this lifetime, and so that soul essences are connected, and she is aware of that, and she has been aware of that prior. But there is no other beings that she has met that she knows of that she knew as her soul family as the dragon lifetime. So there are many other beings on that planet, but the connection seems insignificant for us, at least, because it's all just lessons and everyone's just along and expanding and growing beside each other. There is truly no significance of who she is connecting to. It is just all opportunities for everyone to expand and explore and grow together.
Yes, and so she's consciously aware of this other dragon entity.
Yes,
There.
it was a little golden dragon. Little gold, it was a little orangey, yellowy, golden iridescent dragon, which was much smaller. And so she knows about that. And of course, she knows about Dolores's life as a dragon as well, but she's never met Dolores in this lifetime. So we didn't count that one.
I didn't know about Dolores's one. That's interesting. Okay. Would you be able to do a body scan for us today?
Mm-hmm. We have started working on her before even you finished the induction for this.
I suspected as much. And is there anything to tell us about the body scan?
The energy that she has been feeling regularly, which is an electric buzz, hum, we don't know how else to explain it. It is an energetic vibration. We are expanding this now in her body. It's the core of her body that exists experiencing this and has been experiencing this for quite some time. She's just a beacon of energy for this planet at this time, and so she's just more aware of the other work she does energetically for this planet. So this is just expanding out now as we realize we can expand out, that it doesn't bother her or concern her in any way. It is like being electrocuted from the inside, but it doesn't bother her. So we now realize through this connection that we can amplify it and it be a misdemeanor for her in her daily. This may sound strange, but we do need her to hold more amplification of the energy. It's like an electric current that we're streaming down through her. And so she is just absorbing that. And this pleases us that we realize now that we can expand that field out, because she is giving us permission to be able to do that more. This is an arrangement that we are doing with her conscious mind as we are communicating with you, Alexander, to be able to just fine tune this, because she realizes that there does need to be more energy on the planet. And so she is just doing more of her service for this planet and for humanity at this time with this connection.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to help whenever I can.
Thank you for that. Yes. We
So,
see you are very diligent with your compassion to humanity and all of the beings here on this planet, and we understand your agenda to profoundly express to others unconditional love. You are wounded when you see and worry and fear that others can't recognize each other and can't respect each other's consciousnesses and soul levels and essences. This deeply wounds you. And we say to you that this is part of your other lifetimes of seeing the profound value and significance of others and not having a distinction between one being and another. You do not see any differences or distinctions between one soul and another. And you are so sensitive to how humanity and other beings have been disregarded and disrespected that it really wounds your soul. It is very sad, and it is very painful for you, and so you are reacting. You are reacting to that because it's so unnecessary. And you are so sensitive to this, that this is your motivation to push people to look at their behaviors and look at their responsibilities. And at the moment, you're almost energetically exhausted from screaming, and you are just now in a raw cry. And this is not what you're expressing in your body physically, but this is the level of your soul's expression.
yeah. It's funny you should say that, because I was pondering that very question before an hour or so before our session. Yeah.
The reason why you find it hard to get to a higher vibration at the moment is because you're grieving for humanity. You are transmuting that. They don't even know half of the crimes against humanity, let alone what is going on for them. And so you are releasing that for them. You are transmuting that for them. You are unsticking them energetically, even though they don't know it, and essentially you don't either. You are holding this grief, this trauma, this impact of humanity and all the beings who have lived here, and you are processing it constantly, and you are having to heal from that, accept from that. It is challenging, but this is part of your purpose here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, like I do know I've got this part of me that takes over, and it tries to show people, you know, their actions and what they're doing, and think about things from a different perspective, and wake them up in a sense to their responsibilities and what their actions really are, the consequences of their actions, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely. You're making them stop and look at themselves, and you're making them rethink their approaches. No, many have got into routines that don't work for them, and so you're trying to make them stop and think about that. But of course, when anyone is forcing change on others or reflections of themselves, there is always that responsibility to accept that no one likes the messenger. No one likes
Yeah.
the moral compass that is talking to them. No one wants to hear it. Because there's so much pressure of trying to be awoke and be awake and to be living in a higher perspective, and yet there is still some sticking points that they don't want to look at themselves. And so it's a lot. You're already going through an extreme game. You're already living an extreme density experience. So no one wants to have anything more loaded onto their plates when they're trying to balance and struggle as much as they already are anyway. And so they are triggered because they know that they need to see things with a bigger perspective. It's challenging for all. No one wants to feel like they're doing harm to others. No one wants to feel like their responsibilities are impacting others. But ultimately, so many of your reactions and behaviors and the things you do on a daily basis has impacted many people. It is almost unavoidable to collide into each other's space and to not impact each other in ways that you would never even intend to. It's in heightened times, and people are sensitive to it. It is always better to come from compassion versus reaction.
Yes. And I can see people are getting stuck in their comfort zones, and they need that little push to kind of move forward, and you know.
You are like finding people who are taking a drink break in the marathon, and you're looking at the clock and you're about to blow the whistle in their face and say, hurry up! They don't want to, because they've been training this for many lifetimes. They've been training for this for a long, long, long time. And so they're actually in it. They're in the marathon, the sweaty, the hot, the tired. And here you come, all unsweaty, all exhausted, with your clipboard and your whistle, and you're looking at them and calling them out, and they're just like, I think I've got jelly legs. I think I want to go home. I think I left the kettle on. They're trying to distract themselves from doing that last final push. And so think of it like that. What we want to be reminding others of is, yes, amazing, you have trained for this many lifetimes and now you're in it. You have done all of the research and preparations to be here in this marathon. You can do it. You can see the end. This is fantastic. Keep up. Don't slip your time. We want to laugh because we've just said time, and there is time, but we find this amusing how we go into these little analogies. We want to say that all of the beings are on the sidelines cheering you on, congratulating you, believing in you, encouraging you, and supporting you. And those coaches, those mentors that are there with their whistles, yelling at you to just drop the shit, drop the 3D, drop the drama, drop the things that you really think is important. Look at what you're in. You're in a universal marathon where there's all these beings and collectives here wanting you to be a part of going with the stream of humanity to cross this finishing line.
Mm. Yeah, like maybe I can ask for help with the way I address things sometimes, but I feel like it just like comes out, or if it's like channeled information, that's it. It just comes out, and that's the way I'm telling it. It's like it's meant to be, I guess. But
You do not need to be hard on yourself and worry that you're triggering people, because remembering it takes two. And this could be a life contract between you and the person to be triggered, to be able to maybe stand up for themselves and empower themselves. You truly aren't upset with each other. You're truly wanting to see each other's perspective in a loving way. And so it is about you maybe needing to trigger people for them to empower themselves and to stand up. And so
yeah,
it is not consequential, the experience.
mm,
And you need to see all of the working pieces. Do not hold yourself responsible for others' reactions. You know that you have the most highest integrity for humanity and this planet and all of the occupants of it. You don't need to question yourself. You don't need to prove yourself to others. It is not your responsibility. But you are needing to remind people that there is a bigger perspective here. And so remembering for yourself life contracts, remembering for yourself the totality of all that everyone is going through. You are feeling the pressure of awakening everyone to see the bigger perspective.
mm,
Remembering that your agenda and your passion drives and is driven from another planet. And so you're coming here to this planet that has different scenarios, and you're still trying to endorse this and empower people to be reminded of this. Remembering, for the example of the animal collectives that have come here, they are trying to help humanity too. And what you fear isn't as what you are thinking. Those souls have come down to be able to grow those bodies, to be able to be more high vibrational. We know that the meat has been poisoned. We know you are all being poisoned for many different ways. And we know this, and we have provided high vibrational animals to come down to combat that. We are trying every way to support you. And it looks horrible when you're so compassionate for the animals. And we understand that your heart is feeling very triggered by people who cannot see that these beings are here. But you need to see their being, their purpose as well, their significance, their importance. Knowing that they're sacrificing something too for humanity, just like you.
mm. Yes, thank you for that. I do have a hard outer shell, and I am all love on the inside. But
And we can see and track your totality of your experiences, being in physical and non-physical, since you've separated from Source. We know you. You are not a stranger to us. And we understand where your moral compass is. And as we said before, it has got the highest integrity for humanity, this planet and all occupants. And that is the place you're coming from. and you are not impressed with how humanity and this planet is operating because it's gone so off path. You know this, you feel this,
Mm.
and this is deeply wounding you. This is what you're here to do, is to transmute this. You know it should be better. You know better. You know that this is not how it should be at all. But yet, this planet has got so awry that we're doing things that just naturally doesn't resonate with so many, because there should not be so much disregard to sacrificing animals to feed and nurture, especially with what is going on. We can see it all, we understand it all, we are supporting all, we are of service to all. And your natural state of respecting all beings and not feeding off each other is where you naturally reside. That is the core essence of you. And so you are bringing that belief system, you're bringing in that way of life here, and you're holding humanity accountable for your standard, which is the universal standard. It is the universal standard. So it is just a signification of how broken and how damaging humanity is.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Thank you for, that message and all of that. And I kind of like, I know this is meant to be more like Joe's session, but I appreciate the message and um, all of that. And I just wanted to see how the body scan is going there with all of the work that you're doing.
Her whole body feels electric in most areas, and that is fine, because we're just upping the vibe. So we're upping up, we are increasing the amplification of the frequency for her body. This is completely normal. Um, it is comfortable for her to process this. She works on such high frequencies that she doesn't actually need to be maintained. There is upgrades that her family are experiencing, as most of humanity is experiencing, as you're being released from some of the toxins that have been lingering around most of the bodies. And so it is just purging out those. That is what she was coughing earlier. It is just some of the nonsense in the ear actually is what is irritating many people. They think it may be some sort of cold or flu, but it is accumulation of all of the crap in the ear that we have condensed down, and we are systematically making everyone purge this stuff out now. The body is feeling very detoxifying and lethargic because of the vibrations of the energies of the planet, but also the detoxing of the body from all of this nastiness. We sort of do this systematically. It looks like just seasonal colds for the unawakened, but it is much more than that.
Yeah. No, I do know that Joe's been quite busy lately and had maybe some pressure and stuff like that in the book and all of that. Would you be able to just give her a little bit of release for that and give her some like a pressure release and make sure she's all well and fine there and not under too much stress and pressure?
Yeah, she is not under too much stress or pressure. She balances things out. She's been working in this time frame for so long that it's all smooth for her now. And I was feeling frustrated about being delayed and not getting this other information out. She did feel very frustrated about not finding out about the cesarean connections, severing the children from their higher selves. This was very frustrating for her, to realize that she sort of feels like she dropped the ball with that because she had worked in the medical industry, in the maternity ward for 5 years. So, and she just knew that there was something incompatible with their approaches to medicine and the body. But it is all divine timing. It needed to happen. Those beings did want to awaken themselves potentially. So there is, she can forgive herself and get over herself for that, because we would have prompted it to her sooner if it had need be, but we needed humanity to wake up as it all unfolded with due course and time. Ironically, there's more different collectives that were born this way, very purposeful, so she can relax, knowing that it is, hasn't gone amiss from us. We are well aware of all, so she can relax into that and accept that she played the roles that she needed to play, and she has not dropped the ball.
Okay, thank you. That's good to know. I'm happy to hear that everything is well with Jo. Do you have any other messages for Jo?
All is well. She does connect with us. She has does not have issues doubting us anymore, which she did do for most of her younger life. So she has a direct connection, and she does well. There is nothing that we urgently need to get her attention with. It's all just unfolding as it needs to. So, she can just enjoy the experience of being human, with all of the things moving forward. She can indulge in just being human and just experiencing that here. There is no negativity for just accepting that she's in this human life, and she can just still be human and normal, and whatever normal looks like for her. She's not doing any harm to others. She is empowering herself and empowering others along her way. So she is okay.
Okay, thank you. Well, I guess that's all the questions that I have, and I really appreciate contacting you today and receiving those messages for Jo and also for myself. I truly appreciate that. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. We like to assist anytime we can, in any way we can. So we also know that we disarm the petitioners who think that they are being a petitioner for her, when ultimately we like to step in and be able to give you wisdom and advice and support too on something that you have been pondering, because we see it takes a two-way street here. While we give information to Joanne, we are also giving information to you to help you and support you and nurture you along your path, along your journey. Because sometimes you have not been asking why you have been feeling so frustrated when you know you're a bigger advanced being. You don't know why shit gets stuck on your shoe.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you very much.